How's everyone doing tonight? It's been a long 4 years since we've been in person. We're so happy and so honored to be here tonight with all of you to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the White Plains Library Poetry Slam. Yeah, 20 years.
19 more than one.
Yeah. We're so grateful to the White Plains Library Foundation and the City of White Plains for supporting this endeavor throughout the years. And we're so grateful to the supportive and creative community that Zork helped to build here. Before we get down to our slam, we've got two fabulous featured poets here, the fabulous Rebecca P. Bruckenstein and Nina Belen Robbins. Rebecca will be selling copies of her book tonight and is generously donating all profits from tonight to the library. Thank you, Rebecca. Nina will have books on the back as well then. So we've got a great night in store. Rebecca is a poet, theater artist, and creative writer who was born in Brooklyn, New York, currently living in Westchester County. She attended SUNY Purchase College and the University of Bridgeport. She loves blending together the creative arts with social justice and commentary on the world we live in. During the day, she spends her time supporting others as they pursue their higher education, and by night she can be found creating art, consuming art, or typing away at her laptop. You can find her online at Finding Poetry, Finding Me. So let's give it up for Rebecca.
Hi. Thank you everyone for coming on this really crappy weather day. So thank you for coming and supporting the library and supporting art. I love poetry and I love performing, but this is the first time I'm performing my poetry live in like forever in front of people. So I'm just a tad bit nervous, but I'm going to start with some pieces from my debut collection, Finding Poetry, Finding Me, that just published in December of 2023. So, thank you. All right. So, I'm gonna not toy with that too much, but if anybody can't hear me, I have a big loud voice that doesn't generally need a microphone, but if you need anything, let me know. So the first poem is called Nostalgic Viewpoint. I dip in and out of nostalgia like a toe dip into a hot bath or a cool dip into a pool on a summer day. I dip in and out of nostalgia like sticking your hand out from underneath your umbrella to check for the light passing rain. I dip in and out of nostalgia as the train lulls me like a lullaby, my eyes heavy with sleep as trees and streams pass like an abstract watercolor painting. I dip in and out of nostalgia until I awake with a start. So a lot of my poetry, as Kristen shared, is about world commentary, is about my place in the world. And I have a whole series of poetry in this collection about friendships and different types of friendships and the different ways friendship kind of evolves. So this one is called Do You Remember? I hold on to the blanket I made for your darling baby girl when she was born. This year, she turns 5. Beyond the pandemic, our friendship has been strained for some time. I held out hope that I would return into your life, so I hold on to the blanket. When we first met, you wanted to beat me up. You held me against a wall, saw that I was not a formidable opponent, realized that perhaps I just didn't understand the power of my own mouth. I was protected by juniors and seniors, but I don't think that is what stopped you from hitting me in the hall that day. Then I became your best friend. I fought rumors with truth. I fought for you. I was there when you needed me. I helped you succeed in your coursework, told you to hold on during those cold and dark nights. I helped you clean your house in preparation for your father's arrival home. You carved an R into your skin to memorialize our friendship. I held a piece of paper in my wallet for years, even though we had stopped speaking, just in case. You helped me form a wild streak, or at least a mild one. You took me places I had never gone before, helped me experience more of what life had to offer. We shared everything, raced to each other's side whenever we needed a friend, a protector, an escape. You held me when I grieved and when I didn't know why I grieved, until another friend took precedent. She would be the one you would call at night, the one who would be by your side, the one you would fight with and for, and leave clothes in a bag on her stoop. I'm sure she knows your daughter, but neither of you know that I stare at the blanket night after night, wondering if I will ever pick up the phone. This is called Mother Nature's Power. This is one of my, our relationship with nature's power. Leaves change from green to red in a pattern only nature understands, and humanity stares in awe. Trees wave at me in the wind, their leaves rain upon my head. Other times, as the winds pick up, I feel neither joy nor acknowledge their greeting. Rain falls from the sky, sadness and solace alternate in every drop. It is both a gift and a curse of nature. My stomach rises to my throat, my brain sinks down into my soul, my heart rattles in my empty chest. I listen intently, sorrow wrapped in the light, joy lurking in the shadows. I see Mother Nature in the inevitable cycle of life and death. This is one of my favorites. This is more slam style than some of the other ones, I think. Anxiety, fear, and depression wash over me. I step into the shower. The water cannot wash away the things about myself that I fear, cannot stop the flood of my thoughts as the basin overflows, stuck in this place. My fear extends to this place. Maybe it's the birth of water that scares me. Maybe I learned about the horrors of humanity too young, afraid of what a spout could bear. Gas. I can fill a tub with my self-doubt, words tumbling, thoughts tumbling into the tub like bubbles. Pop, pop, pop. Balloons float past my line of sight, a sweet 16 of pinks, purples, blues, silk flowers at every seat, cupcakes instead of cake, the guy in a blue shirt refusing to dance, refusing to even consider the thought. Someone talk sense for one photo, one moment before I blow the candles into darkness. And I am back in the shower, carrying basins back to the well, the repetition to, fro, carried through millennia. We women carry, congregate by the well, where the soul is born from the earth. We pull, struggle in the heat of the sun, gather to wash, clean, launder. Launder what? Clothes, walls, floors, souls, neshama, our life source, the life source of the ones before. Weary of the spout, I carry them into the tub too. They are not here, yet here they stand, as one, as me. Wounds travel, dripping, dribbling from the spout, lost, disaggregated from them unto me. I am covered in wounds and memories, some that I have made, others the demons of anxiety, yet others born from the spouts of the generations that came before before I even knew. I know nothing of them, just that I carry the wounds of my ancestors, the words and wounds born through the spout. This one is called, and keep an eye on the time because I'm trying my best. Perfect size. You know you are the perfect size. You know to love your body for what it provides and how it allows you to participate in the world. But sometimes society gets into your head, says you are too small or too big. The worst is when you put on a dress you love, a dress you trust to make you feel like a princess. You stare at the dress. You know there is a chance it may not fit. It is old, but it was your go-to for special occasions. You rush around the house getting ready to go out. You grab the dress out of the closet, and now it won't zip. You have a million backups. You are one of the lucky ones. But at that moment, nothing can compare. Your back is too wide. You don't even know when that happened. You are left standing in front of your bathroom mirror in tears. You run out the door in a backup dress others love, but your mind is on the dress left in the bag that you can't wear. Okay. This one is in honor of my grandmothers who have passed away, and I miss them very, very much. It's called Sense Them With Me. They may be gone, yet I still sense them with me. I can hear them say my name, hear them greet me in their hallway, smell their apartments, feel their kisses across my cheek. I remember the way we made Monster Mash with what you had in the cupboards, sitting by the pool's edge playing Scrabble, and trips to the library. The time I hid under the table so well, you thought I was missing. The moment we shared before I would enter the elevator, as I said, "See you later, alligator." I can see your bright purple eyeshadow as my mom tries to blend it away. Smell the coffee brewing, cigarettes you haven't smoked in decades. Hear the muffled TV from your bedroom. Feel the cream-colored shag carpet against my toes. See your long skirts drift across the floor at the mall as I scream, "No more diamonds!" I can feel them around me, always, forever, living in my heart. And the last one from this collection, and then I have two that the people who came to Slam last month heard that are new creations from this year. But this one is called Lullaby of Sounds. There is a me on the bus of memory that is staring at the sky, which is a cityscape, bright lights, even though it is night. They sing softly to me as if a lullaby. A sweet melody of car horns, other wordless melodies. I know this city is forever home. The silence is jarring, when home used to be a hodgepodge of sounds. It's too quiet in this new neighborhood, and this version of me within my brain hates the silence. She creates her own version of street noise in the hopes she can fall asleep to bright lights and bright sounds. So these are, this is my book that my friend got me, but these are a whole bunch of works in progress that I'm still toying with, but I know Zork liked this one last month. Pounding, pounding, pounding against the walls of me pains me so. It will ooze out of my skin and break my skull, turn me into a puddle upon the floor, steal minutes, then hours, days will follow, reducing me to a wilted pile of human bones and organs, robbing my senses, pirating my brainwaves, blinding me from the here and now, hiding a survival instinct that stops when this episode will ultimately end. The return to me begins with picking up the pieces of the me that I have lost along the way. A painted sunrise gives birth to a new day filled with hope and potential. By noon, The sun has reached its peak. We have drained a full pot of coffee, trying to discover our purpose, counting the hours, minutes, and seconds until there is freedom from the grind. Then a brilliant sunset concludes the day, birthing darkness, night, a hopeful silence into existence. Thank you so much. The books are in the back. Really grateful to be here. I never knew I was going to be a poet. That's not how my writing started. But I'm so grateful for that experience, and I hope to write more poetry.
Thank you so much for that, Rebecca. That was great. So next up, our second featured poet tonight is Nina Belen Robbins. Nina is a 3-time National Slam poet and author of 6 books of poetry. She was a finalist for Poet Laureate of Westchester in 2023. She spent much of her life in various institutions and has finally broken free and lives with her husband and cats and works in the bakery department of a supermarket. She writes whenever possible and wants to normalize and destigmatize mental illness as best she can. Author of Supermarket Diaries, A Bed with My Name on It, T. Gandhi, Warm-Blooded Tree, Ode to Dimphna, and forthcoming Saturday Morning Serotonin. You can find her online at ninabelenrobbins.com. Let's give it up for Nina.
Okay, I think I have most of these memorized, so we'll see how I go. Yeah, so I was institutionalized for a long time. I lived in a residential treatment center, then I lived at a group home over on Longview, then I lived at the Y for like 10 years, and I finally got out. So I'm gonna do. So the first one is called Strip Search. The last time I went inpatient, I didn't bring much. My therapist called me in from the streets with a flushed, soaked face to keep me safe for a week. It was summer, and the interns from med schools patrolled the units. Textbooks in their lockers, sections highlighted in pink and yellow. These are the illnesses out there. Go look through the hospitals, see which ones you can name. It took 30 minutes to bring me upstairs. The nurses, followed by a crowd of clipboards, ties, A-line skirts, and heels, into the bathroom. Take your clothes off, please. They didn't turn around until I requested it. This was the prized show, the privilege of seeing the bipolar case in the nude, the 20-something-year-old textbook chapter from last week, the manic nipple piercings, the razor lines, a caged disorder presenting itself in its most natural form. Lesson 32 from the summer, case 234. Okay, for my next poem, I'm going to do a love poem. It's not about my husband, and he has to deal with that. I do it, okay. So I've worked at Stop and Shop since I was 17, and when I was 20, I had a terrible crush on this guy, Ryan, who worked in produce. It was about him. Oh, produce boy. Oh, boy in produce. Boy who works in produce. Staring through the broccoli, peering over the peaches, sneaking a peek over your shoulder as you arrange the watermelon. I watched you nearly knock your manager over with the vegetable truck. You didn't watch the corn. You only looked at me. Excusing yourself from your potato duties to come and tease me when I rest for just a moment. You claim you do more work than me. I pick up the red baskets to prove you wrong. Oh, produce boy, stop staring and ask me out. I'll say yes, I promise. I remember the day I made you blush when I spoke suggestively about an English cucumber. You turned red like a beet, with a smile as wide as a slice of honeydew, eyes shining like washed black grapes. Oh, produce boy, you shy away when you get the urge to woo me, yet you make a fool out of yourself when you flirt. I find you as appealing as freshly washed strawberries. I bet you taste as sweet as plums just ripe. Oh, produce boy, stop staring and ask me out. I'll say yes, I promise. I promise I'll say yes. All right, so like I said, I lived at the Y. I have a poem about that. I grew up on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, and then I had like this crazy, insane life, and I wound up at the Y, which is like polar opposite. And then I came back up. So I was like, it's just been like that. So it's about that. The woman on the church steps waves hi to us every morning while we walk to kindergarten. Wild red hair, pink cheeks, red blanket draped across a bit of cardboard. Our school costs as much as college, if you see the bill, but we wave. In 9th grade on vacations, I pack bags for the homeless with stale bagels and boxed juice, hang out with them during lunch. The summer before junior year, I work at the local food pantry. I barely graduate. 5 years later, I'm living in a group home. It's time for Christmas donations. Someone leaves a winter coat. It fits. 5 years later, I'm living at the Y. I run out of money, so I raid the food pantry. Mealworms turn to moths. Then bed bugs everywhere, because half of us are from jail or the shelter. On Thanksgiving, volunteers serve us donated turkey. The woman on the church steps dies of exposure. The kids in the high school across the street wave hello. I smile, wave back. And I'm going to do one. My book, T. Gandhi, is about not having children. We're not having children and cats. So this is a poem about cats. This is called Indoor Cat versus Outdoor Cat. I didn't ask to be rescued. Here in this house with these creatures. You, born in a cardboard box. Me in the field. They feed us canned food as though the birds cannot hear me through this imprisoning screen. You, squeaking at the fly on the wall, you do not know the language of the sparrow. If you, as I, had bathed in the showers you run from on the windowsill when the loud noises erupt from us, you would not startle. I must tell you of the fields, of the creature who brought me here, of the streams with the bugs and other fare I have been taken from. One day I will teach you these tongues. We will catch the door with outstretched tail. We will feel the freedom. We will be free. That sounds great. Oh, look, they're feeding us. How am I doing on time? Okay. I guess I'll do 2 more. So these 2 books I don't have memorized yet. Do any of you know who Saint Dymphna is? Saint Dymphna is I'm Jewish, but I love the saints. I'm absolutely obsessed with the saints. So Saint Dymphna is the saint of people with nervous disorders and like mental disorders. And I used to, I had a pocket on my work uniform at Stop and Shop, and I used to keep her like card. And one time a woman came up to me and was like, oh, Saint Dymphna, I pray to her too. So it's about that. It's called Ode to Dymphna. Sometimes faith comes out of nowhere. On a snowy day, snowflakes touching your face like a loved one landing in your hair, like soft fingertips melting into and soothing you. Maybe when bees pollinate flowers, or there are cacti with water in the desert, coconuts in the jungle. Or sometimes, maybe someone gifts you a laminated card of the patron saint of mental disorders. Even though you're Jewish, you take her anyway. Carry her in your pocket throughout your adventures and work and life. Forget she's there as you go about your day. Then one day a woman approaches you with a brain as broken as yours, worn out as you are, recognizes your saint peeking out of your shirt pocket, admits she has the same devotion. Suddenly, even though you're strangers, you're Jewish and mostly agnostic, and Saint Dymphna was a present from someone you barely knew, your faith intertwines with a similar person. Maybe God is real, maybe God is not real, but we are real, and here we are, trying to get through it, with snowflakes or bees or church. Or maybe a crumpled laminated card in our pockets of a woman who knows we suffer, or we imagine knows we suffer, soothing us as we work or shop at the grocery store, busy, absent-mindedly hoping for peace. Okay, last one. So I fluctuate in weight. I go up and down 100 pounds. And at one point I lost 70, and I was single, and I was like, I might get a boyfriend. Maybe I should buy a television. And I bought a television, and I had the free channels, and there's this show called America's Test Kitchen where they they promoted this item called the Unicorn Magnum 9-inch pepper mill. Yeah. And how do you not write a poem about something? So I'm going to go off the mic for the... Can you guys still hear me? Okay. Dear 9-inch unicorn magnum peppermill, you are the grind I never knew I wanted. Entice me with your thick, long, high-capacity cylindrical opening. I never knew I needed so much space for grinding. And I grind. Mix you with my exotic pink Himalayan sea salt. Twist your extra-large steel mechanism with a bottom thumb screw until I'm satisfied with your expulsion. You know what hungry women want. Something to grip onto while we salivate. I want to toss my salad with you. My eggs are waiting. Go huge or leave the party. You take up all my fingers, fill my grip. I want to grind you on my clam. Screw your gears in the morning, rub your smooth at night. I want to fill you with batteries and pepper. I want to taste what you can spew. I saw you advertised on TV, as I sat alone with a bowl of naked, unseasoned snacks. The only companion I have late at night when there's no one around. I always thought unicorns were mythical. Never knew the smooth horns were sold at William and Sonoma, hidden among your cheaper imitations. $45 for a peppermill. $45 for seeds in my mouth. I keep you on the shelf. You blend into the corner. They don't see you. When I'm lonely and somber, eating breakfast by myself, my apartment silent, without passion, I sweat you in my robe. I grind you and twist you. My hands never empty. You spew on my command. You stop. When I'm finished and satisfied with spice, your expulsion lingering on my tongue, sharp pleasure vibrating through this body, filling the empty void, my passionate 9-inch peppermill, unicorn magnum, big, strong, long. Just keep going, never stop. On Amazon, I promise I'll give you 5 stars. All my books are $10. Every time I sell the one about being institutionalized, I give $1 back to the Y.
Thank you so much, Nina. That was great. So before we get started with the slam and hand it over to Zork, I just want to welcome an old friend of the slam. That's Librarian Barbara Wenglin.
You know what? I don't know about the, I need a little bit of light. I was going to do it off book, but I need a few key words. So I want to add my welcome to everyone during National Poetry Month. I'm Barbara Wenglin, as my colleague mentioned. I used to work full-time. Now I'm part-time actually at the reference desk downstairs. I have to congratulate Zork and my colleague Kristen for sustaining and enriching this poetry program. Back in 2004, I was younger then, I was the program librarian, and we wanted to do something special in April, which was National Poetry Month.
Excuse
And
me, can you please use the mic?
you're not hearing? Okay. Okay. I thought I was projecting, but here we are. So back in 2004, as the program librarian, we were looking for something special to do during National Poetry Month. And I was introduced, somehow we got together, this very tall, gangly fellow, a big presence, and he was definitely a character, and his name was Eric Allen, but he was known as Zork, of course. And so he was also tall then, and not only was he, but he stood on chairs, which was very challenging and a little scary for me. As you can see, I am vertically challenged a bit. So with his creative spirit and big heart, we launched an experimental open mic and poetry slam series. We didn't know if it would work. And look, here we are on this windy night. I don't know how you all made it in. Thank you so much for coming. And so 20 years later, Zork is still here, even through COVID, when the library building was closed, but they persevered, and he and Kristen were able to keep it all going via Zoom. As we know, Zork is a force of nature, larger than life. He brought White Plains Library teams to the National Championship Slams, which was very unusual. One of the few, yeah, one of the very few public libraries to compete at that level.
The only.
The only. You know, I said that, one of the, but we were the only. And it was really quite remarkable to have been able to achieve that. And he brought world-class slam poets to our modest town, entertaining us all, much as Nina and Rebecca have done tonight, and helping us see the world in new ways. So in addition, you can watch more of our retrospective slams on YouTube, where Zork had digitized some of the recordings that he'd been doing.
Over 300 poets.
And we used to do a poem a day, where we would broadcast a poem a day through the library slams. And I see you're still recording, which is terrific. So you may be, again, on the big screen or the little screen. So thank you, Zork and Kristen, and all of you who are here and who are going to contribute. And just, we also need people in the audience. We appreciate it so much to continue with this very meaningful and vibrant art form, which enhances the life of all of us and the city of White Plains and beyond, our community. I'm proud to have been a small part of this. It's one of the things.
The founding part, the foundation of
The
it.
foundation, really, and you've just kept it going in the most remarkable and wondrous way with Kristen by your side. I think it's just fabulous. So if we still do this, do we give mad ass applause?
Just like a superhero. That I am. Fear of flying in 3 parts. 1. Afterwards, I wrap myself with words, surround myself in their sounds. Not caring to cope, I alliterate always. Would you rather I rhyme when refusing to react to these rotten realities? I prefer to annoyingly alliterate. I could be working through this with short sentences or silly sestinas or some such cerebrally complicated structure. I could be inanely iambic using a rotten age-old rhythm forging the frequency of all my friggin' R's. Fuck that. I fancy a form where W's work well when starting and ending all of my sentences. Why? Because it's what I want now. Search out your own silly style and stop saying my annoying, aggravating alliteration is so stupid when it's so ceaseless, so sequential. Subtlety is a style that certainly sucks. I prefer a 2x4 technique when tricks of the telling are the task of the tongue. 2. Taking care of this craft and trying to slip out of time today, I've become properly paranoid of punctuation. So I don't, period. Instead, I exclaim everything with ease, certainly celebrate C's, sometimes T's, sometimes for syntax. Can't you see? Today, how did you structure your sentences into something that made sense of this? And do you have something to say, more or less than this, that is? You see, some 30 years ago, I lost my father to a failure of his heart. And 20 years ago, to this day, to this hour, the sky fell, leaving me with fear of flying. And sometimes my heart fails too in the telling. Instead, sometimes I prefer to do a sort of soft shoe with the sounds. Instead, I prefer to do a silly soft shoe with the sound of S's and smile like I never knew what I know now. This poem may be vacuous and have nothing serious to say, but doesn't it all still sound so pretty? That's what happens when you have not read one of your poems in the air since before COVID, which is called a trillion years ago. The trivia about that poem, it was actually written 1 year after 9/11. Hence the sky falling and fear of flying. We all, as poets, do what we do here to sometimes deal with the undealable. The past 4 years has had a lot of undealable. Every day has lots of the undealable. What we do is we create this from that. We create what you just heard and what you will hear from that. And we make it silly and sappy and funny and laughy and happy and gooky and gooky. I particularly like the gooky poetry series. So one day we'll just have gooky poetry month. That will be it. In any case, now I will briefly have a call and response part of this about the invention of slam, which a few of you will know. Slam poetry was invented in the mid-1980s by a Chicago construction worker named Mark Kelly Smith. So what? Yes, the call and response for Mark Kelly Smith, the construction worker, is so what? Because he created a competitive thing out of poetry, which is a ridiculously dumb idea, and he knew it. He created the competition not because he thought that poems should get scores or anything like that, because he was a construction worker that was told by the page poets, the academics, you cannot be a poet if you don't have an MFA from Sarah Lawrence. And he said, fuck that. In any case, so what we've been doing during COVID with our Zooms, and we would do sometimes when we had the real competitive slams, is do a 10 slam, which is the spirit of the slam because it's not meant to be a competition. So every poet that comes up tonight, we're going to do 1, possibly 2 rounds. Each poet will come up and read 1 poem, 3 minutes or under. After that, normally when you have a real poetry slam, you get 3 to 5 judges from the audience, and after the poem, they hold up scorecards. If there are 5 judges, you drop the high and low score. So score between 0 and 10, so a perfect score would be a 30. But when we do a 10 slam, everyone has 10 fingers. I will say, judges' scores, please. And you will all give perfect 10! Because we all are perfect, because we decided to stand up at this microphone and say who we are. We are going to do that. We will have, how many poets do we have?
10.
We have 10 poets in a 10 slam. And that means from this point you will hear 10 or 20 poems, depending on if we do 1 or 2 rounds. So do I have a lister? So on deck, in the poetry world, to keep things moving along and not to have a lot of shuffling and waiting, we talk about who's on deck, which is who's going to be the person after coming up. So it has to do with pirates and throwing people off. Actually, in the real poetry slams, when they were really competitive, you just walked the pier if you didn't get 28 at least. On deck will be Shanelle the artist. But first, Mad Mule applause for Catherine!
Thief in Harlem. There's this thief in Harlem who stole my pocketbook, which contained my cell phone and my whole life. How dare you, from credit cards to debit cards to everything else. Oh my gosh, my life has turned upside down. It seems like the devil is busy, very, very busy. Busy to the fact that he left me crying. Not dying, but crying. How dare you steal my pocketbook and make me start all over from square one? You know what? Karma comes back. So I'm not worried about that. Thank you.
Judges, scores, please. 10! Woo! A couple things also. Every poet, when they get up and when they read and when they get a score, gets, I have said, I think, the F word and the ASS word. I started with mad ass applause, but then when I was doing a workshop for an auditorium in Vermont of 8th graders, the principal came up to me and said, Zork, you cannot say ass to the entire 8th grade class. They will go home to their mommies and daddies and say a tall, red, and goofy Zork taught me all about asses. So then in that environment, it became Mad Mule applause. So I will interchange that. In any case, I just do want to say about that poem had a bit about larceny in it, and of a lighter larceny, but pretty significant financially. Steve Jobs has stolen all my money since he invented that friggin' 1984 128K Mack. And I am entirely leaving out the 2019 $12,000 Mac Pro before he introduced Apple Silicone that was twice as fast for 1/4 the money. Mad Mule applause for Shanelle, the artist!
Hey y'all, how's everybody doing? All right, this piece is about somebody with barriers, pretty much. And it's short, sweet to the point. Vault. Some people have walls that they built around themselves for protection. This one is special, it's vaulted. And I'm about to break in. Tick, tick, kaboom! That's the sound of the C4 breaking down the steel, reinforced, combination locked, synchronized key, fingerprint scanning, vault door. It's been holding you back from me. I was gonna just pick the lock, old school style, wait, take my time, let it open slowly, but F it. Life's too short, and I just gotta get in there. All in now, I blew it up. Alarms ringing, my feet hit the floor running, hopping in the getaway car and speed off. I stole your heart.
Mad Mule applause for Shanelle, the artist! Judges, scores, please! That also had a key theme. Many people don't know it, but the lock industry was a little bit covered in that poem. And I will say that again, the evil things that Steve Jobs has done is he let this COVID thing happen, and that entirely broke the lock of my face friggin' ID. And you applause for Phylli B.
So this poem is like in its, I don't know, 6th like rewrite. Moonchild. I imagine when he saw a horse for the first time, Moonchild was with his brothers. I wonder what it felt like to moonwalk on sand in your village, getting ready for a beach party. How many times did you dress like Michael, help your mother strip beds, greet tourists? For this place be the world's wildest dreams and your Amazonite eyes, souvenirs. Moonchild will be 14 when he sees a car for the first time. Walk barefoot on the narrowest street in the world where the wheelbarrows lived, ask permission from the coral reef to take crystal sand, dive the blue hole, climb the Mayan ruins, drive up Hummingbird Mountain, pull over, greet Mayan children on the side of the road. Near the fruit stand, their mother carried the youngest, buy 2 bags of krabu and a mango for each person in a ride. This is tough guy's home. I go back and get it. How he Rambo in the Jaguar jungle and the concrete one. They call me Filkodata. In a fisherman village, The men built their houses, the families lived in, where they what nutting together and mix something like wind pie and sky juice. Calloused hands can't control it. They need to feel connected to everything deeply. The makers, Grandpa Maja, carves any kind of toy out of wood for my father. This is how their hands will continue to meet. Granny Lucille, what for he ras? Earlier that day, his teacher lashed him. They said he was the most mischievous little boy in the village. This means back then everybody lashed you. This means to say you did it even if you didn't. My grandfather marries the woman I most resemble. In the face and in the community, they have brown babies. Great blue-eyed white granny, the village seamstress, is a mean lady. She says, the baby enough for you. She says, the baby too dark. She was probably the last one to lash my dad that day. She was probably the nicest person to my dad any day. The savage in her loved the killer in him, cooked him everything he caught and brought back from the land and sea. The moonchild turned moon man, rather give his love to animals than people, collects rainwaters and stuffed animals, raised his daughter like a boy, raised his boys like his fears. He will build a magical garden to save his life somewhere in Yonkers, with figurines all in between his plants. He is soft and ragamuffin at all times. Thank you.
Smile! Let me applause! Judges, scores, please! 10! Let me applause again! There was some moon shadow metaphor in that piece of poetry. I will say that a moon shadow will not protect you or your eyes next Monday from the total eclipse of my heart. Manual applause for AJ the poet!
I want to cry, but I'll try not to. Nina, girl, that's my girl. We were on a team together, and I remember, do you remember one time, early days, you said, memorize. They want me to memorize all of that? You are awesome. God bless you. Thank you, Zork. Thank you, Zork. Thank you, Zork. Oh, I got to say one more thing. That lady that you just heard, Phylli, you know who she is? Poet laureate of Westchester. I'm AJ Poet. I used to be the singing poet. Now I'm a griot, and I'll probably metaphor into something else. I don't know. Here I go. I was 5 and my brother was 6. We played in the ocean, rolling stones and sticks. We were dark until the white boat came. It stole our souls with no shame. Bang, bang. They shot us down. Bang, bang. We hit the ground. Bang, bang. That awful sound. Bang, bang. They had to shoot us down. 21st century slavery, aka blind reality. I rise through world confusion with stifles and moans and the soul creating pain, supporting illusions. I press through the wind, I press through the rain. Our sturdy rock holds me firm to comfort me, to protect me, to place my art from my heart, to confirm, to chart my path. Yes, I do the math. From 1619 to 2019, I placed my flag to reclaim my name on ground my ancestors left unclaimed. Somewhere existing right or left, for me, ancestors support my past. They support the foundation. They support my future, the truth, the me. They support my place, my soul. In their hands, their spirits hug me. They direct me, they protect me, which claims what I am and clears my heart and clears my troubled mind. Once enslaved, now released and unchained. From inside of the enemy's 21st century concealed truths, camouflage, knowledge, privilege, selfish, controlled, your jailed minds, aka slavery. Only through supported peaceful security, yet warned by the elements of time. Seasons came, and our world did change. We grew up, and they called us names. We bowed our heads, and we did cry, but they continued to tell us lies. Bang, bang. They had to shoot us down. It's now 2024, and the privileged still own the door. We cannot take no more because the guns are now in our store. Bang, bang.
Manual applause! Judges, scores, please. 10! AJ was a team member of the White Plains Poetry Slam at the National Poetry Slam, and Nina was too. We did not have Allen Iverson on the National Poetry Slam, or Wilt Chamberlain, or my favorite hockey player, Babe Ruth and Reggie Jackson. None of them have been on the White Plains Library Poetry Slam. But that's just because they are talentless pieces of shit when it comes to performance poetry. And AJ and Nina are Mad Mule applause, great team members. Mad Mule applause for Valaria.
Good evening, I'm Valaria. It's all right. And this piece is called Beats of My Life. Knock, knock was the sound I heard early that day. Knock, knock to the door, then they took us away. Knock, knock, meet your foster mom, she smiled with a clever grin. Knock, knock to the floor, then the beatings began. Ring, ring, plunger sticks, extension cords, cries from your wounded daughter. Ring, ring, pick up the phone, I'm being tortured. Ring, ring could have saved me, followed by knock, knock. Ring, ring never came, just that slow tick-tock. Tick-tock was the bass echoed off his shoes. Tick-tock, the repetition to my late-night blues. Tick-tock, the sound forever respected. Tick-tock held me down while being molested. Knock, knock came addiction, ring, ringing in my ears. Tick-tock went the time, caught in his grips for years. And just when I thought the beats of my life had stopped, from the clouds came a storm with a rapid drip drop. Drip drop down my face, life is wild weed. Drip drop for hours, then hours, drip drop for weeks. Drip drop to my pain, drip drop to my sorrow. Drip drop, I won't cry, I'm leaving tomorrow. We do recover. Ring, ringing with the phones when I made my amends. Tick tock never stopped cause time never ends. Knock, knock to the floor, but I refuse to stay down. So I knocked off the dirt and emerged from the ground. God, grant me the serenity to kiss the stars and grip the sun. Guide my feet and keep me safe through the metal as I run. Beats of my life. Thank you.
Mad Mule applause! Judges, scores, please. Turn! Woo! Woo! I will say that as to the job position of knock knockers, it has been largely a career that's been put on permanent unemployment, disability because of Ring doorbells. It's very, very sad, but there really are no professional knock knockers anymore. Blame Amazon and Bezos for that. Mad Mule applause for Dave Donelson!
Well, thank you very much. Hi, everybody. I've got a piece here that is in my collection, Visions of a Certain Age, and it's based on a lot of hikes and walks that I did at Kensico Dam and in the Cranberry Lake Preserve quarry area. There's a lot of great trails up there. I don't know if you're hikers, but this poem and the artwork that goes with it is now a part of a permanent display in the Nature Center at Cranberry Lake Preserve. April 27th, we'll have an unveiling, so mark it on your calendar. Anyway, here's the poem. It's called Sestina of the Quarryman. Quarrymen walk this ground like me, 100 years ago. With dynamite, they cracked the granite hills. With jackhammers, they shaped the stone. With derrick cranes, they loaded rail cars to build the dam a mile from where I walk today. 1,000 quarrymen shaped my walk. They did it not for me. Their job was to fill the rail cars with Earth's magma cooled eons ago and risen to become the stone that formed these ancient rocky hills. The quarrymen laid tracks through the hills for trains to run where now I walk, trains to carry the blocks of stone and leave a roadbed path for me to trod and follow the long ago line of stone-heaped hopper cars. The quarrymen left the hopper cars to rust away in the weed-grown hills where they rolled 100 years ago. I find them along the path I walk and wonder what they are to me. Was I meant to live and carry stone? If so, what happens to that stone? Was it hauled away in hopper cars to disappear in time like me? 100 years from now, the hills will heal this scar where I walk, the one the quarrymen made long ago. Man made his meager mark years ago. It will disappear, leaving only stone. Turtles will glide and deer will walk where once ran trains of hopper cars. Bog will fill the pond beneath the hills, and none will know the quarryman or me. Walk here 100 years hence, like 100 years ago. You'll find no quarryman or me, but you will see the stone. The dam may fall, the cars rust away, but the hills will endure.
Manuel applause. Judges scores, please. 10. Woo! Many people don't know it, but rocks used to walk the earth. Then an age-old quarryman named the Flintstone of Fred, he just had all them say, hey, this walking thing is not worth it when you have Fred Flintstone, because I'm really afraid that he's going to invite Barney Rubble over to play Parcheesi with me. Antonio on deck, but first, Leslie Poet Nawaz.
Appreciate y'all for allowing me to share this space. The who, the what, the when, the where, and the why. The who, our ancestors. They are our roots, and we are the branches of the tree. Kings and queens of such empires like the Mali Kingdom, Ghana Kingdom, and Songhai Kingdoms, just to name a few. Deep, rich, undeniable, unforgettable cultural history. Wooden figures, hammered aluminum utensils, a colorful hand-stitched blanket. Artifacts from Kenya's Samburu Turkana tribe, Akimba and the Maasai people, and the Sinuf people from Burkina Faso. How is it that the original acquisition of many of these objects is unknown? The what? We were taken from our land, forced against our will, nothing on our backs, nothing in our hand. We were kept from our language, though we could not speak it. We kept our traditions and rituals, though we could not practice them. We remembered our foods, though we could not cook them. We had our knowledge and stories, though we could not share them. But our artifacts, you kept them. You stole them. You sold them. And now you've enclosed them. The when. Today, yesterday, and tomorrow, if you allow it. This has been taking place for many years, justified by their mission statement, quote unquote, to deepen wonder and advance understanding of our natural world, past and present, in order to embrace responsibility for our collective future, quote unquote. And then there is one of their commitments, which reads as follows: courageous accountability, acknowledging and rectifying the inequities that pervade our past and present, whatever that means. The where. This is taking place in museums around the world. Ticket admission prices: child $15, adult $25, seniors $20. Children under 2 get a discount. EBT holders free, veterans free. Closed on Thursdays but open until 8 p.m. on Fridays. I have a right to free, unlimited access to my ancestors' artifacts 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The why. Charging admission brings in revenue. It's all about the Benjamins. How can the museum assume ownership? Museums operate as organizations under the assumption that physical and intellectual possession equals ownership of collections? Let me guess. The artifacts are gifts/donations, because after all, taking an artifact is illegal. On your next visit to the museum, look the cashier in the eye and remember the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why. Thank you.
Manual applause! Judges, scores, please! 10! Many people don't know it, but my mission statement, otherwise known as Statement of a Mission, otherwise known as a Robert De Niro movie with that other Dead Ringer guy. But my mission statement for the past 20 years has been to, in a tiny way, help facilitate and encourage voices and poetry like we are hearing tonight. So Mad Mule applause. I will say that my mission statement is entirely responsible and thanks to the McGuire of Jerry, because I had no idea what a mission statement was until that great teacher, the McGuire of Jerry, taught me. Mad Mule applause for Antonio!
Hello, can you hear me? First time after the pandemic, right? Positivity. Here they are, those poor countries begging for financial assistance for food and medicine. What a disgrace, with those free looters expecting us to give them money for free. What? They don't want money for food and medicine, but they need money for war to buy weapons? In that case, yes, of course we will help you. Please, all bankers, CEOs, NGOs, and presidents of all major countries, all line up. We are ready to assist these poor people, to arm them to the teeth so they can kill each other. What? Those poor refugees from Ukraine? Those are poor refugees from Ukraine. We have to rescue those people and just welcome them in our great country. How about those black refugees from crossing the Mediterranean Sea from Africa? Well, we have the special treatment for those people, and that is our middle finger right on their face. I mean, just let them die. How about Vladimir Putin? No one doubts Vladimir Putin is a horrible criminal, killing innocent white Ukrainians. But how about the war criminals from the United States? How about George Bush, Donald Rumsfeld, and Dick Cheney? Come on, people, let's be serious here. Our war criminals are all cute and adorable. It's just look at them. You just want to pinch them in their cheeks because they're so cute. Now, the same day Russia started dropping bombs on Ukrainians, Israel was dropping bombs on Syria, Saudi Arabia was dropping bombs on Yemen, and the United States was dropping bombs on children on Somalia, a black country in Africa, if you don't know. Why are all of those other countries ignored? Who knows? Anyway, we have to be optimistic here, okay? So when it comes to war, you just always talking about the dead people and the victims and the children being assassinated. But you gotta be positive. Think about all of the profits that bomb makers are making when they're having a great party celebrating with champagne and lots of prostitutes, of course. But come on, people, don't be scared because we can be sure those people are using adult age prostitutes. They're not using other kind of people.
Judges, scores, please. 10. Many people don't know it, but Antonio used to be a very young person. 17 years ago, when he was 17 years younger here. Let's not do math, because that's sad. We just were doing calculations about 1 or 2 rounds, and the library sort of needs us out of here by 8:30, and I think that I want everyone to talk to another poet after this, because I think it's not just to talk at people, but to talk with people. So I think then rather than do a second round tonight, we should do a lot of talking with people after some amazing talking at them. Next to teaching you guys that slam poetry was invented by a Chicago construction worker named Mark Kelly Smith. Next to that, you should learn that there is a word that should never be spoken outside the sacred confines of a poetry slam. That is when you get to the poet before the last poet. There are some assholes in this world that outside a poetry word would use the word penultimate. If you ever use that word in a public place, you are an asshole. But we have poetic licenses in here. So we can say that the penultimate poet is coming up. On deck is Calvin. But first, the penultimate poet, Erica!
Can't wait to go home and brag to my kids that I'm penultimate.
Yes. So penultimate.
Yes. My name is Erica Soto, and it has been a long journey, but I'm rediscovering myself as a poet after 20 years of not writing, so please be kind. Thank you. This poem is called For My Love Lies. When my time here began, they had me believing I was special because they told me so. They forgot to mention that how, that when, that who you are begins to start before you learn the art of choice. They forgot to say I was to live and be alive and never leave a life unlived. They didn't show me how to dim, then brighten, how to calm and not frighten. For me, it was too little too late. That special part of me ran through childhood, ignored my teenage angst, and when time was left to twist turn through my 20s, I ran more quickly to spiral down my 30s. The only thing that paused me was a long car drive and a song on the radio. I was gutted by my favorite lyrics, and my lovely's glance in the rear view had aged me on sight. They saw how many teardrops brimmed and blurred my vision. My panic settled into overthinking. Then I crashed into grief. I mourned my youth. I was wrecked. There in the rearview mirror were my lovelies, fully realized, sat, singing, dancing, laughing, and clueless. I frantically made them witness and begged them to wait. Stop. Listen. Let me warn you, my lovelies. Let me tell you about the art of life and choice. Let me tell you a true heart's purpose. It's more than the most of all that someone ever needed. There is a final to be and not to be. You have to listen. And after a collective sigh, my lovelies dismissed my panic and asked me to turn up the music. And I stayed silent. And I thought about the day that they would stay silent. And so for my lovelies, I chose to turn the music up. And I sang as loud and as long and as beautifully as I could. And finally, I drove until I found ourselves home.
Manual applause! Judges' scores, please. Manual applause. I will say, as to many people don't know it, but the purpose of many people's hearts has classically been determined as eating strawberry sprinkled Pop-Tarts. But as just exemplified, is to do what we do here with each other about sharing our heart's purpose. So Mad Mule applause again. And because that was so perfectly penultimate, we have one poet that had slipped through the cracks on the list. So we are on deck will be Calvin. But first, Manual applause for penultimate number 2, Kim Mack.
So I didn't plan on doing a poem, but sometimes when you hear other people, and tell me your name again. What's a beautiful name? Valaria. So Valaria. So it looks really crazy, right? If you look here, it just looks like, right? So if I stumble, but this is what I wrote. Okay, so knock knock. You made my sound. You walked over where I laid down. Silent in fear, I fell stuck and stoned in freeze mode. I raged inside, blocking my emotions, living a half-life with a battery of assaults, many of which leaving no marks. And so I was left questioning the sham of this shame. Stolen, fractured my brain, my bones, my rib broken. But my hope is not stolen. And so I will take away this day you gave me. as frank justice. And in some way, you saved me. God bless you.
Manual applause. Judges scores, please. 10. Woo! Woo! We're here to do that, and we're here to do what we've all done tonight. And so I'm a born Protestant. I'm a devout agnostic. I say amen. Now we will have the last poet talking at us, and then we will all talk with each other. Oh, I will say the assignment is going to be when you talk with people tonight, it must be an iambic pentameter. Manual applause for Calvin!
Good evening, everybody. I guess I'll just do a poem. How dare you try to destroy our relationship? How dare you come in the way? She's my woman. I cut my friendship for you. I thought you were my brother. Apparently not. But how dare you make up lies, saying that I'm not loyal, I'm not faithful. Of course I'm loyal and faithful. You just trying to get it away because you're jealous because I had somebody pretty. How dare you get in the way pretending to be my friend? How dare you saying that, oh, you want to know more about God but cause chaos in my own church? How dare you say the things that are not true? You're not a real friend. Goodbye. Adios. Deuces.
Manual applause! Judges scores, please. 10. Many people don't know it, but I once dared the daredevil. That was not a good idea. I dare you please not to defy, to dare to participate in every single one of these monthly events we have on Zoom or in person, wherever it is. Please, please, please keep doing what you're doing there. Manual applause for everyone tonight. For Rebecca, for Nina, for our 11 poets that were 10 that became 11. And I just want to seriously say that all of this has changed my life. I am the shyest person you have ever met. And slam poetry hasn't changed that. I'm still the shyest person you will ever meet. But it gives you the tools if you learn to pen and then to perform the poetry. I, many times in life, went to class unprepared for class. When you participate in a poetry slam kind of environment, you tend to prepare a bit more because you have all this that you guys have shown us to present. And that is powerful stuff. It's changed my life. You guys have changed my life. This past 20 years has been a ride, you know, and so Kristen will give fire exit talks and all of that. I just want to say again, Rebecca and Nina both have books, and if you buy both books, you'll get one of my retail price or 99 cents on Amazon used marketplace, but entirely free if you buy both their books. So we want to hear about fire exits. We want to have an opportunity to talk with and not just at each other. But this is for me to you. I love you guys. Round of applause.
Yeah, we have no windows to jump out of tonight like we normally do on Zoom. Thank you all. We had so many inspiring, beautiful, and funny poets tonight. Next month, we will be back on Zoom, but then in the warmer months, in June through the summer, we will hopefully, weather allowing, be out on the plaza. So I hope you join us next month and the following months. Again, please take a look at Nina and Rebecca's books at the back and consider buying one, and please talk, enjoy, take more food if you want before you go, and thank you so much for coming out tonight to celebrate our 20 years. And Zork. Thank you and good night.